Dr. Michael Greger is the Director of Public Health and Animal Agriculture for the Humane Society of the United States. He's the author of several books, including Bird Flu, A Virus of Our Own Hatching. New book. His website is Dr. Greger, spelled GREGER.org. And Dr. Greger, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. Tell us about this bird flu that you're writing about.
Well, all eyes are really on this H5N1 bird flu strain, endemic in 4 countries and poultry populations. This is a virus that has an unheard of human lethality, killing over 50% of the people it infects. Thankfully, only a few hundred people have become infected. The concern, though, is that it may mutate to a form easily transmissible from person to person, thereby triggering the next pandemic, which could truly be devastating.
So let's, for purposes of comparison, right now we've got a flu epidemic going on in the United States, and it's garden variety flu, and it has a fatality rate or a mortality rate of what? It's around 0.2%, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe 0.1%. Yeah, 1 in 1,000 people at most die every year. Now that's still tens of thousands of people. Flu is nothing to be
Right.
But,
and in 1918 we had they called it the Spanish flu, although it started. My understanding is it started in a pig farm in Kansas, didn't it?
Well, yeah, they called it the Spanish flu because that was one of the few nations that didn't have a censored press during World War I, and so you heard all these newspaper reports of everybody getting sick.
Right.
But
that flu had a mortality rate of what?
That was about 2.5. So that's 25 times deadlier than the regular flu.
Okay. So and that was still 2%, between 2 and 3%, 2.5% of the people who got it died. And you're saying that this flu has a mortality rate of what?
59% so far, so about 60%. So again, that's about 25 times deadlier than the worst plague in human history, which killed more people in 25 weeks than AIDS has killed in 25 years. No war, no plague, no famine ever killed so many people in so short a time as the 1918 pandemic. Yet again, we now have a flu virus 25 times deadlier. So if you think about it, if we had a H5N1 pandemic, it could make the 1918 pandemic look like the regular flu, the worst epidemic in history.
It would be worse than the Black Plague of the 14th century.
It certainly killed more people in as short a time. In fact, in 1918, half the world became infected. And so if you imagine that happening with a virulent pathogen, we have to do everything possible to stop these dangerous...
Okay, so now this flu, my understanding is that right now, we're talking with Dr. Michael Greger, MD, the author of this new book, Bird Flu, A Virus of Our Own Hatching. This flu, birds get flu, and they transmit it to each other very easily, and this flu likes to live in the nasal and tracheal passages of the birds, but it has not yet given itself the ability to get into people unless those people, kiss the bird or something like that. Somehow
most of the people have involved in very kind of intimate contact with these birds. Either they were, eating raw duck blood pudding, or they were involved in the culling practices in which tens of millions of these birds have been had to be destroyed. So they had really high infectious doses,
right.
And so that there's quite a species barrier at this point in
right.
terms. Again, this virus has been around for since 1997. And about 600 people have become infected, but of that, more than half have died. So that's why this is the virus that we do not want going, quote-unquote, viral.
Right. If this virus makes a small mutation so that it can attach itself to the human mucosa, in other words, it's in the air, we breathe it in, and it sticks to us and infects us, then half the human race could die, or a quarter of the human race could die. Half the human race could get infected. And what is the process that increases the probability of that, and what can we do to decrease the probability of that?
Well, to prevent a pandemic like this, we really need to give these farm animals more breathing room. Basically, studies have shown...
Literally.
measures as simple as really just providing straw for pigs, for example, so they don't have the immunosuppressive stress of lying on bare concrete their whole lives, can significantly cut down on swine flu transmission rates. But really, in the long run, we need to follow, for example, the Pew Commission's recommendations to abolish these extreme confinement practices, like these gestation crates for pregnant pigs or battery cages for egg-laying hens like they're doing in Europe, and to follow the advice of the American Public Health Association, the largest association of public health officials in the world, which 10 years ago, 2003, called for a moratorium on factory farming, no more factory farms.
Wow. So our factory farming practices may be set to kill us. If we didn't have factory farms, would that mean that, I mean, would we, a large chunk of us have to go vegetarian, basically? Or what would be the outcome of that?
Well, look, I mean, factory farms are efficient, but no matter how cheap the meat, it may not be worth the risk.
Right.
The reason factory farms are such breeding grounds for diseases, the sheer number of animals, the overcrowding, the stress crippling their immune system, the ammonia from the excrement burning their lungs, the lack of fresh air, lack of sunlight. You put all these factors together, you really have this perfect storm environment for the emergence and spread of new super strains of influenza. In one sense, it doesn't matter what we eat because it's not like a foodborne illness. You can get the flu, regardless of what one eats because it's respiratory infection. At the same time, what we eat is all that matters. The fact that we now have tens of billions of chickens being raised every year. In fact, we slaughter every day enough chickens spread wing to wing to wrap around the earth twice around the equator every day.
Whoa.
About 45 billion chickens, about 1 billion pigs, and the fact that we have so many kind of, new feathered and curly-tailed test tubes for viruses to incubate and mutate within, billions more kind of spins at pandemic roulette. But look, along with human culpability comes hope. If changes in human behavior can cause new plagues, well, then changes in human behavior may prevent them in the future.
So you're calling for an end to factory farming, basically.
End to factory farming, and as you pointed out, that really must involve a reduction in meat consumption in the industrialized world.
Right, which doesn't mean that everybody has to go vegan tomorrow, but we could radically ramp down our consumption of meats and probably have very positive public health consequences.
Well, we picked the two species, unfortunately, that are susceptible to this disease. If we raised factory farmed rabbits or cows, for that matter, cows are immune to the flu. We just picked the two species to make billions of on this planet, which are susceptible to a virus that can transmit to people and literally infect a significant proportion of the world's population in a matter of months.
You said this virus, this H5N1, has been around since 1997. Where did it come from in 1997?
Yeah, first detected 1996, the first human death 1997 in Hong Kong. The first discovery was in a goose population in Guangdong, southern
Was it a
China.
spontaneous mutation, or did it jump out of some other bird population that might have been buried deep in a jungle someplace for the last 1,000 years?
Well, for thousands of years, we've had these domesticated birds in these kind of situations, and we've never had these kind of highly pathogenic, highly disease-causing strains pop up like they have in the last few decades. What we think is happening is that in these factory farm environments, these so-called low-path viruses, these harmless viruses, acquire mutations to strike down and cause high disease rates and high transmission.
Amazing. Michael Greger, Greger, the book Bird Flu.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Dr. Greger, thanks for dropping by. And once again, the website, drgreger.org. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.